Let's face it, hiring help is not easy these days. Let XenTegra Staffing help you find the right person for the right job. Head over to XenTegra.com/XenTegra Staffing to find out more and let us staff your people needs. Welcome to another Citrix Session with your host, Andy Whiteside and Bill Sutton, your source for all things Citrix.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to episode 24 of the Citrix Session podcast. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I have with me Bill Sutton, of course, Director of Services. How's it going, Bill?
Going well, Andy.
Staying busy, I am sure. We also have with us the CTO of XenTegra, Pete Downing. Hey, Pete, how's it going?
Hey, Andy, what's going on, man?
It's fun times for sure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And with us, we have an old friend of XenTegra's, Harsh Gupta. Pete was running a class last week. This was part of something I talked about a couple weeks ago with some folks, this idea that Citrix is changing the way they integrate with public clouds for the traditional product, what a lot of people would like to call on-prem. And Harsh is Harsh, your title again?
Okay, I'm a director of product management at Citrix. I manage the Citrix virtual apps and desktops business.
Yeah, thanks, Harsh. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. We just talked about it, but Harsh has been in the product management side of Citrix. For how many years now?
A little over 8 years now.
A little over years. And I remember when Citrix first started to come to market with the as a service Citrix Cloud offering. You and I got a chance to kick the tires early and had some good conversations. Man, that must have been 5+ years now.
That's right. And thanks for being on this journey with us. Appreciate your help.
Yeah, and I like to highlight real quick. I still get questions from Citrix salespeople all the time asking if we sell Citrix Cloud. And if we're not the number one selling Citrix Cloud partner in the world, we're somewhere up there. So we definitely do believe in what Citrix is doing as a service. With or without little nuances here or there, it's certainly the direction people should be going. I will highlight real quickly after the last week or so. So I'll tell a story real quick. So I went with my son to spin up some machines in Azure to do this iGel project that he and I are doing together, and they were all grayed out. So I picked up the phone and called Pete and said, "Pete, I think Azure's down." And he said, "No, you're crazy, whatever." And then the next day or two, Pete had to do a class, and he said, "I think Azure is. I think they don't allow you to spin up net new workloads, which only highlights more and more the as a service model and having a hybrid cloud approach to that, which Citrix plays really well with."
That's right, and that's why we're seeing a big uptake of the cloud services managing on-prem as well as public cloud workloads. We have a lot of hybrid deployments out there.
Yeah. And Andy, just a fun fact too, Harsh and I actually used to work together on the same team. So Harsh and I go way back, and I don't think people believe me when I say that sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to the fact that you can't throw a rock without hitting a Citrix and a XenTegra person. We're very much a lot of history together. So guys, this is a little unique because normally we do this on blogs, and in this case we're doing it on a CTX article that was released, a support document from Citrix. This is CTX 270373, and the title of this one is Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, Deprecation of Public Cloud Support from On-Premises current releases, which is a misnomer a little bit in and of itself, because a lot of people had plans to lift and shift their on-premises, what I like to call traditional Citrix licenses, into the cloud. And I think that's really where some of the hang up here. So Harsh, you want to just kind of highlight here this first paragraph, what you guys are announcing?
Yeah, absolutely. So in effect, what that first part of that article means is we are going to end support of management of public cloud workloads with our on-prem product effective current release 2003 that's coming out. So if a customer is trying to manage a public cloud workload, that could be Azure, AWS, GCP, using CR 2003 or a future version, that will not be a supported configuration.
And so, Harsh, what that means, right, is if they're trying to integrate it with the hosting connections within the studio after the current release and all of its patches and long-term service updates, cumulative updates, that will not be supported, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Hey, Bill, your thoughts on that?
I'm actually not that terribly surprised, but I think maybe one thing we might want to make clear to users or to customers is this is Harsh. This is correct. Is this option in the hosting connection wizard going to be gone in 2003, or 2003 is the last place it appears?
Right. So we call it technical enforcement. So 2003, we have put in no technical enforcement. Post 2003, I mean, in whatever the next release comes out,
right,
it will be removed, but it will just not be the hosting connections. We want to work through our customers across their deployments. So it'll start from the meta installer. So the meta installer would detect if they have a hosting connection already. They would give the customer the option to abort their installation. Number two, yes, hosting connections would not appear for any of the public clouds. And number three is if a VDA is running on a public cloud, it tries to connect to a on-prem DDC, or that which for us means an on-prem product, that VDA will not get registered. So these are the three areas we're planning to make the change in the subsequent release to 2003.
So Harsh, how will you know if it's an on-prem? Does that mean an on-prem that's in their cloud, their tenant?
No, I mean, Andy, basically what we're checking for if the VDA is registering with a cloud connector. If it is registering with a cloud connector, it will be registered. If not, it will not be registered.
Okay.
So this also means that if we do a lift and shift, not a shift, but if a customer decides to build controllers, storefront servers, and everything in a public cloud, then this will stop. This will not technically operate properly post 2003.
That is, I would say it's not even supported in 2003, but let me give you the reason why we even did this. Because this lift and shift, while customers have done it, we've run into a lot of issues with quite a few customers. It's surely because within the public cloud, the pace of innovation that these public clouds have, think about new instance sizes, new PaaS services, all the other things that come about, they actually end up breaking their existing deployments. While we definitely wanted to support these customers, but what we have seen is, as and when we provide patches or a fix, they again have to go through an upgrade cycle. So this constant business of upgrade comes into the mix. That's why we wanted to pull back. And for us, the right answer is to provide this value through a cloud service, because we can patch it, upgrade it, and customers get this value without even having to lift a finger. So in order to solve for customers, we also had to make a decision internally where we were like, hey, you want to go to public cloud, let's give you the best option. The best option is go with the CVAD service in the cloud, right? And with CVAD service, we basically take away all the hindrances around different types of deployments, complications, and customers are running smoothly. We've seen this over the last couple of years where customers managing with CVAD service have seen no problems, while our on-prem product customers have struggled when managing public cloud workloads. And I'll take a minute, if you guys don't mind, to tell you how we did it and when we did it. We've been thinking about this for a while, but we decided that the right time to announce it would be after the 1912 LTSR, because this gives customers 5 years to actually go on with their cloud deployments and figure out a time window when they could move to the CVAD service. So it's not like we have customers hanging. It just it's a statement we've made so that customers can think about their gradual migration to the cloud and for the best outcome for them. I hope this makes sense.
No, it does. I'll let Pete jump in here. I'm sure he's got some comments or questions.
No, I mean, I think just to clarify though, Harsh, so if you're on the 1912 LTSR, which is about a 5-year window, they can still run 1912 on premise, but and still use public cloud, and that's where the line is drawn. Is that a fair statement?
That's right, Pete. So they could deploy all of it. I think you were referring to somebody which we call as lift and shift. They could do that, or they could be deploying it deploying the controllers on-prem and extending it to public cloud workloads. Yes, all that is supported with 19.12, and the cumulative updates coming for 19.12 will support it.
So guys, just to kind of jump in here, I get it. I get this is something that Citrix needs to do. It does fit the narrative of trying to get people to move to a service. I have to say that, as a consultant, one of my favorite things about Citrix has always been, hey, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this or that. It's going to be very flexible. I think in this situation, Harsh, what you're saying is it's for the customer's own good, even if they don't see it in the short term. It's for their own good to move to as a service so that you guys can properly provide them with the right resources and support them, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. And I would reiterate this. We've had a lot of customers run into issues when public clouds have brought in new instances or any new innovation. So we want to have our customers be immune to that problem.
So this question might be a little bit outside your wheelhouse, but you may know something about it or may just defer it. Is there any way that Citrix is going to help incentivize financially customers that have been buying down the path of on-prem for all these years with the idea they were going to the cloud, but not as a service? Do you know if Citrix plans to maybe enable that through some type of discount to be able to help customers absorb this better?
Andy, I don't know if there are new financial programs introduced, but we already have the hybrid right, or that we typically call transition and trade-up motion, available to these customers, where a little over what they pay for the software maintenance gives them the right to use the on-prem product and the cloud for a certain duration. So they could sign for multi-year terms, and that's the period that they have where they can manage the workloads through the on-prem product or the cloud service. And that's where, if you think they could be using 19.12 for these workloads, and then because they have rights to use the cloud service, they could gradually start to managing these workloads using CVAT service.
Yeah, and I get it. I guess that would be my one ask of Citrix, that they consider ways to truly identify customers that got caught in this quandary and have to make that move, but maybe that's a topic for a different day. So moving on to the next topic here, it says, what should customers do as a result of this announcement? You want to address that a little bit?
I would say this basically means is if you're not already ready for the CVAT service, I kind of made this point earlier. If you're not ready for the CVAT service, use 19.12 LTSR, but always keep an eye or have a plan of record at some point in the near future to go to the CVAT service. And if there are very specific reasons why you cannot adopt CVAT service, let us know. And then we can use that as feedback and think forward for our customers.
Yeah. I guess some of the normal considerations of, hey, I can't do cloud. Well, it wouldn't matter. If you can't do cloud, then obviously you're not going to the cloud for your hosting platform.
Right.
All right. The next section here says, how is this change enforced in CVAD, Citrix Virtual App and Desktop 2003, which means year 2020, month of March 03. That's the release that, as you pointed out a while ago, I guess it's still in there. It's just not supported. How will this be enforced? I guess like you're pointing out here, just not enforced, right? Or just not supported.
Yeah, it is not supported in 2003. We will have technical enforcement in the subsequent release in Q2. Okay.
And then I guess that rolls into the next topic of when will Citrix technically enforce this change? And that is in the next release, which you would expect to be, 2006? What's the next release after that? Or can you even tell us at this point?
I mean, as you were saying earlier, 03 defines the month. So we haven't finalized the month yet. We are still finishing the final features that we are going to put in. As and when we decide to put it into SI, that's when we'll come up with the release number. But it is a release after 2003.
Okay. And then I think you've already addressed this next section, but it talks about controllers running in public cloud, which would be not cloud connectors, but delivery controllers, and whether or not those will allow VDAs running on a public cloud to register. And that the answer is at some point that will be enforced and that won't work anymore.
That's right. The following release will not let you register.
And then to get deeper technical on that topic, this last section here where it talks about, can you run a 2003 current release VDA with a 2012 LTSR controller? I think you hit that, but can you explain that one more time?
Could you repeat that? Sorry, Andy.
It says, can you run a 2000, I keep wanting to say 2003, a 2003 current release VDA, a current VDA, so a 2003 VDA with a 2012 controller and get around this?
No, that will not be a supported configuration because then you're breaking the 1912 LTSR support platform.
So technically it might work, but it wouldn't be supported?
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Well, hey, let me open this back up to Bill again and see if you had any more topics or any more comments or questions now that we've gotten to this point in the
No, I don't really. I'm curious, Harsh, have you gotten any feedback from customers or other partners with regard to this change as yet, other than this?
I mean, I have. I mean, quite a few. There's been an initial surge of queries,
Sure.
But a lot of them have been about clarification. Right. And the moment they understand 1912's given them timeline, and a lot of them, I'll tell you, I've seen changes in reaction. The initial knee-jerk reaction was, what have you done? But then a week later, they come around and like, hey, you guys were right. That is the right approach. We just didn't follow through on how we should go forward with it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think the reality of that is if you really want and need the benefits of a service, you have to realize that services adapt quickly and change, and that status quo and service don't necessarily equal the same thing.
Yeah, I got a question, Harsh. So, well, I got two, but I'll ask the one that I know might help with this conversation is, I know, is there going to be a migration tool that will help customers go from on-premise to the CVAD service? And, you know, if there is there any timeline that you can or cannot give right now?
You're stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
That's fine. Yes, we are working on a migration tool. And I think we are getting closer to a private tech preview. And again, Pete, I don't know if you've shared this before. We don't have a GA date anymore. What we do is we do a private tech preview, have basic matrix, and then we do a public tech preview. And based on how well the tool or the service is doing, we kind of declare GA. We feel it's the time is right. So I would say private tech preview is coming very shortly. Let me know if you guys want access to it, and the tech preview will take its course. It's a pretty straightforward, simple tool. We call it configuration as code. So you can basically migrate the entire configuration or export the entire migration from your on-prem product to a YAML file, and then selectively import configuration from there into the cloud service.
Cool. And then my other question is, so I think I understand this and I support it. And so I guess one of the issues I'm hearing is around user experience. So can you comment on kind of POP expansion around, you know, the gateway service? Because that's typically where I see the biggest, I'll call it a discrepancy in what, you know, consulting services pitches versus what we'll pitch. And, you know, we're obviously for the future and future-proofing our customers. So can you comment on the reliability of user services from a POP point of view, especially around the gateway service? Because I think there is a misconception out there that the user experience isn't all that great. And I would argue that it is pretty good. And there are ways to architect Citrix Cloud to work very nicely with your on-prem NetScaler, but also there's some future stuff happening that's going to help mitigate this as well.
So hey guys, real quick on this. This is probably, so let's kind of wrap up the other one, right? So the idea that Citrix is moving to the cloud support for just the service only, I think we've covered that, and we can certainly jump on another podcast later. Harsh, any additional comments on that one specific you want to go into before we go into what Pete brought up, which is a really good topic, by the way?
I think we hit all the major points, right? What did we do? Why did we do it? What options did we leave for our customers? And then finally, when is the technical enforcement? So I think, yeah, we are well covered there.
Okay. And then as we go into other topics, and I do want to highlight, Harsh, we'd love to have you on maybe once a month to talk through the latest in Citrix Search Virtual App and Desktop Service. I think what Pete's alluding to is the fact that, we try to lead with service where it makes sense, and that includes the gateway, either entitlement or gateway as a service additional pieces where you have all these pops across the country, the world even. And then we're running into situations where, maybe on the Citrix sales side and consulting side, they're still being told to buy NetScalers and implement those in their data center, which, kind of defeats some of the purpose of having the service, right? You're tying to a service where you can, but then in some cases not using the service. I think what Pete's pointing out is he's seeing pretty good performance when you're using the gateway entitlement or the gateway as a service piece. Can you touch on the gateway world as a service?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've made this clear, and Andy, I can't agree more to what you just said. We want to make sure that our customers get the value of Citrix through a PaaS offering, right? There should not be the need to deploy any of the components on-prem. Definitely our vision, yes, due to some moving parts, we haven't been able to get there. We aren't there yet, but we're definitely moving towards that path. And Pete, the point you were making about user experience, you're actually very right. But then in some places, we genuinely felt that not having POPs in certain locations is what is causing a poor user performance. And I don't know if you guys have seen, we have just introduced 3 new POPs, one in Canada right now as well. So we are going to be evolving our POP expansion, especially for the gateway service. And that's exactly for the point here you guys are making, is an end user experience, because that's the most critical piece in the puzzle for us.
Yeah, end user experience and efficiencies all at the same time. That's the perfect part of the service conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked this is because it yes, it kind of does play into this whole conversation, because a lot of people is why aren't they considering cloud, and I think it plays into the whole overall theme here, which is, hey, how do we get them to start leveraging the service, but then also ease the pain of, hey, just because we're not going to support public cloud with on-premise, no big deal, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So Harsh, maybe we have you back on. Maybe you can point us to a good blog that goes over what you guys are doing around the gateway services and the POPs you guys are opening up. That's probably another topic for another great podcast on a different day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll look for that and invite you to one.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen. Well, hopefully this has been helpful for people to kind of clear up what Citrix is doing here. I think there's some pros and cons, but certainly, from Harsh's perspective, and I agree, Citrix is doing this for the good of the community and the product and end users and happy end users. It's definitely going to drive some more services conversations. It's going to drive some as a service conversation. Let's see what Citrix can help us do as far as making that transition on the licensing side a little more palatable. But that's, I guess, a topic for another day as well. Harsh, I appreciate you joining.
No problem. Happy to be here. See you guys.
Pete, Bill, any parting comments?
None from me.
No, I'm good. I'm excited. And, I think XenTegra as a partner, we love Citrix Cloud and we always lead with it. So I'm excited to continue that path forward.
Yeah, no, we definitely do, and help people understand where it makes sense, even when there's some shortcomings that may not make perfect sense, but in the long run, it's definitely the way to go. All right, guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Citrix Session with your hosts, Andy Whiteside and Bill Sutton. A special thanks to our guests. Podcast produced by Pete Downing. Head over to XenTegra.com/podcast to listen to all podcasts in this series.